Hello. So today we're going to talk about how perfectionistic tendencies really block us from creating the life that we want, creating the law practice that we want. And so today I'm going to share with you 5 sneaky thoughts that pop up and they show us that we are in perfectionism. So listen in, get what you need to begin changing how you think. Hello, my friend. Welcome to another episode of Be a Better Lawyer podcast. I am so glad that you are here today because this episode, if you're not already aware of how perfectionistic tendencies can really impact negatively your life, this episode is going to show that to you. So, today I want to share with you 5 sneaky thoughts that can sink into your brain and they feel true. And I put true in quotation marks because they feel neutral, because your brain completely believes them. It has no doubt that they are absolutely 100% fact. And I want to offer to you that they are not facts at all. They are protective mechanisms preventing you from doing what it is you really want to do. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, but we really have 2 parts of ourselves. We have that part of us that is steeped in societal structures and frameworks that have told us over the years what it means to be successful, what it means to be a good student, a good lawyer, a good person, how you're supposed to behave in the world. And all of those include things like making lots and lots of money without any balance, right? Or doing lots and lots of things without giving yourself anything in return, doing lots and lots of things for other people without giving yourself things in return. And that's one way, that's one part of our brain. And then there's this other part of us. There's this higher self, this part of us that has desires that call to us, that say, hey, you know what? I want to do this thing. And that other part of our brain that's weighed down so heavily with all the old societal frameworks constantly tells us, no, 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 you can't do those things. Those aren't things that are meant for you. But there's this part of our soul that says, hey, I want this. And it keeps arguing for us, right? It's advocating for us, saying, hey, no, I want to do this thing, even if it seems irrational, even if it seems illogical based on how we grew up and what we were taught. There's a part of us that feels like we need to keep gravitating towards it. And these perfectionistic tendencies that I'm going to share with you here today, these thoughts that come into our brain, are part of that old framework, that old structure, weighing us down, preventing us from living into the person we are meant to be, the person we're meant to evolve into. And these are all things that I've faced. In fact, as I was writing this podcast, I felt like I was calling myself out in so many ways because I was seeing how some of these things still show up in my life. The good news is that you don't have to be perfect at any of these. That's great, right? You don't have to be 100% every single day, you know, clearing your brain of these thoughts. You could still become incredibly successful in your life and in your practice and still have some of these things happening. But what I will share with you and what my experience has been and what I have seen with the lawyers that I work with every single week is that when they begin getting a handle on these little sneaky thoughts I'm going to share with you, they begin opening up their lives to so much more abundance, so much more love, so much more enjoyment of their life. And it's something that, as I was thinking about this topic, I realized how impactful it had been in my life, really getting a handle on these thoughts and also noticing where there is still room for me to grow. So I want to jump into these, but before I do, I want to invite you to book a strategy session with me. If you have ever considered working with me, if you resonate with what I share on this podcast and you're done living that old life and you want something new, you want a fresh start, you want to begin somewhere new, whether it's working on your time management or whether it is really deciding for yourself how you want to intentionally design your life moving forward in your practice, in whether you want to grow a business, whatever that is for you, I want to invite you to book a strategy session with me. Because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where you are right now, and we're going to start getting some clarity on where you want to go. And it's not always easy thinking to yourself where it is you want to go. It's so helpful when you have that support, you have somebody who's there to pull these things out of you in a way that maybe you've never experienced before. So I want to invite you to do that. You can book a call with me at dinacataldo.com/strategy session. That's dinacataldo.com/strategy session. And if you want to learn more about working with me, this is the place to do it. You will get all of your questions answered, and you and I will see if we're a good fit for one another. All right, so let's jump into this episode. Let's just start with the first thought here. And I hear it so often with lawyers. It's so sneaky and it seems so true in the moment when we say it to ourselves. And that is, I've never been able to do it before, so there's no reason to believe it'll be different in the future. This is a thought I hear so often. This will come up anytime you want to do something new. In fact, all of these thoughts that I'm going to be sharing with you, they pop up when we want to do something new because that old structured framework brain, right, has all the old societal constructs in it, wants to keep us where we feel most safe, even if that means it's keeping us small and it's preventing us from following that higher voice, that higher self that we feel drawn to. So the problem here is that the brain is focusing on what's happened in the past. It's using every single fact in the book to tell you, hey, you can't do this. And doing that prevents us from creating a new future. We never want to create something new from our past results. We always want to give ourselves a fresh start. We always want to allow ourselves to keep trying. And this thought really blocks us from doing that. This is how you know this is impacting you if you're thinking this thought. You daydream about something being different in your life, whether it's time, money, family, waking up earlier, eating healthier, a new workout routine, whatever it is. And then maybe you try something new for a little while, but then you give up on it. You feel disappointed and you tell yourself, you know what, I should be working harder or I should have more willpower. You tell yourself things like, I'm lazy or I should know better. Your brain focuses on all those past failures. In fact, it wants to ruminate on them. And you think about them so much, you begin to feel depleted in your body, really zaps the energy from you. So, of course, you don't want to take action on anything new. So here's the solution. You want to look at any past failure as a building block, something that's very neutral, that's just building the foundation for something new in the future. It's simply a step you needed to take to get up and try again. Release any judgment about your past performance. And here's what that means, okay? You don't make any past performance mean anything about who you are or what you're capable of. Okay, it means nothing about what you're capable of the future. That's why we don't want to build from the past. We want to create a new future. So we've got to just take action and keep doing things differently. And the way we do that is we self-evaluate. We've got to self-evaluate. And it's very simple. Like we did learn this in school in science class, which of course, we became lawyers to avoid so much of that, except for, the very few of you who really love science, right? We got this tool, just evaluation, right? An experiment, which is a hypothesis and an evaluation, and then a hypothesis and an evaluation. And you continue to take action. So you make a hypothesis, you evaluate the results, you decide to take different actions. So that's what I want you to do whenever this thought comes up for you that I can't do it because all of this evidence shows me I've never been able to do it in the past. Say, okay, look, that's fine. The past is the past. I'm not judging myself for any of that. And now we're going to do something differently. So let me give you an example of this. I did this when way back in the day, I wanted to make myself into a morning person because I was tired of waking up last minute, hitting the alarm, being late to work, feeling rushed, all those things. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I am going to guess what I can do and I'm going to write it down. So I guessed, okay, if I wake up at this time, then I'll be able to get all the things done that I want to get done. And then that didn't work. And so I said, okay, well, I did get up, but I was exhausted. And then, I didn't get everything done because I was kind of in a fog. So then I said, okay, well, what might be the solution to this? Well, maybe a solution to this is me going to bed a little bit earlier. Okay. And so I tried that. And then when that didn't give me the result I wanted, I did another tweak and then another tweak and so on. So instead of judging myself for not getting it perfect right out of the gate, I just said, okay, well, let's see what's next. Let's try something new. But when we attach so much of our self worth and so much of our value to getting things right and doing it right the first time, we lose out on the ability to learn and to create what we want intentionally. It might take longer than you thought initially, but if you don't let that be okay, you won't be able to create what you want to create. So here's the second thought, the second sneaky perfectionistic thought. I don't know if it's going to work. Here's the problem with this thought. Okay, this thought prevents us from taking action, and it definitely prevents us from taking consistent action, which we need to be doing in order to collect data so we can do evaluations and improve. Right? We want to improve the opportunity for it to work, but we can't do it if we don't take action. And then we end up being stuck in this really low energy emotion that does not allow us to take action. And I believe that we can really get anything to work when we can get that objective perspective, that 10,000-foot view of the problem. But we can't do that when we're telling ourselves, I don't know if this is going to work. So, this is how you'll know this is you. You constantly second guess your decisions. You wonder if you've made the right decision. And because you're doubting yourself and your decision making, you procrastinate on taking action on that decision, hoping that it will just resolve itself, that somehow the decision will just kind of work itself out. For an example, if you want to grow your business, you might come up with a plan, but then you worry, well, maybe this isn't the right plan, or I should be doing something different, or this other person is doing this thing. Maybe I should be doing that thing. And your brain kind of goes into squirrel mode and you just kind of you want to do all the things, but you're not spending concentrated time on one plan. So you can never get enough data for it to work. And you might be buffering your worry instead of taking action on the plan by doing things like scrolling social media, overeating, overdrinking, binging TV, anything, cleaning besides doing what you had planned. And because you're not taking action, you start wondering, okay, is there something wrong with me? You tell yourself things like, I'm lazy, and you feel disappointed in yourself. And this is the solution I want to offer to you. I want you to just accept that you don't know the future. None of us do, but it will 100% not work if you do nothing. Make a plan and stick with it and be kind to yourself, even when you have setbacks. Evaluate weekly, right? Ask yourself what worked, what didn't work, what will I do differently? And check in on how you feel. Really give yourself that support. That's one of the things that, as lawyers, we lack in so many of the offices that I have seen. I've just witnessed so many lawyers feeling unsupported. And because of that, they really kind of stay stuck in this self doubt mode, this second guessing mode, even if they start their own practice, right? They might take that self doubt and they do a great job, like they're getting work done, but they decide, okay, well, I'm going to build my own practice. And they take all those same habits into their practice and they still keep spinning on this self doubt. And it makes everything take so much longer because you're never actually gathering data to see what works, and then you can't make any of it work. So that is what I want to offer to you there. Here is the third secret, sneaky thought that might enter your head. I'm not like X person. I can't do this thing because of Y reason. And that reason could be I don't have time. I have kids. The summer holiday is coming up. The winter holiday is coming up. I'm not a people person. I'm not the kind of person who likes to do Y. Like all of these things are going to come up. Your brain is just going to say all of the reasons why you cannot do something. And here's the problem, your brain is focused solely on the problem as it currently sees it, and it's not able to get perspective. It's not able to get that 10,000-foot view of what's going on. And when we are in this place, we can't even begin to make a game plan for ourselves. We're really stuck and we're pretty much resigned that it's impossible to do what we want to do. And here's how you'll know if this is where you're at right now. You compare yourself to other people and how well they're doing. You feel envious of people instead of feeling inspired by them and their successes. You find yourself resenting people when they're successful and telling yourself things like, wow, look how good they have it. Like they just have it so easy. And you come up with this whole story about how they're privileged in some way. You tell yourself that other people just generally have it easier than you, that you just have a hard knocks life. And you feel angry a lot of the time. You beat yourself up for not doing more and being more, and you procrastinate. And before I move on and I tell you the solution here, I want to share with you that every single thought that I'm sharing with you in this episode, I've experienced, I worked through. So I want to share with you that if you are experiencing any of these things, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you can't change. All it means is that this is where you are right now. And we just want to get a shift for you. We just want to give you the awareness so that you can begin implementing some of these solutions and making some changes so that you can begin taking action towards whatever it is you want to create in your life. So here's the solution to this one. When you feel triggered by somebody else's success, I want you to take a moment and pause. Ask yourself what you're feeling. Is it anger, resentment, annoyance, frustration? And then ask yourself why you think you're feeling that way. And don't let your brain say, I don't know. Take your best guess, make it answer. And when we see something like this happening in our brain, it's really an opportunity for us to see what it is that we want. It's also a great opportunity to see perspective. Oftentimes, we think we have it so much harder than other people and that other people have things so much easier, but those people actually have it harder than we might be thinking. Because what we're doing is we are looking at their lives through a very tiny lens. We're getting this sliver of their lives and we're making judgments based on that sliver when really they have a much fuller life and we are all complex beings and we all have something that is weighing on us. I want to also offer to you that this is such a great time to give yourself the gift of inspiration because success leaves clues. So if you are seeing someone being successful in an area of life that you want for yourself to be successful in, then ask yourself, what are they doing that you're not doing? What is it that you can begin shifting in? And I hear this a lot with my clients when they start taking control of their time, when they start really managing their practice in a way that feels in alignment with them, people start taking notice. And you can choose to notice in different ways. You can choose to notice and feel resentful, which I've heard stories of office people saying like to my clients like, wow, it must be nice that you can leave early on a Friday. It's like, well, yeah, because I intentionally designed my life so I could create it exactly like that, so that my income continues to grow even when I decide I want to take Friday afternoons off or take Fridays off entirely, which I have clients doing. So I want you to know that you're going to have those people in some cases. They're going to see you're making improvements in your life and they're going to say, whoa, what's that? That must be nice. Like you must have it so easy, right? So then the coin gets flipped here. But what will also happen is there will be people who are curious. There will be people who come up to you and they ask you like, "Hey, what do you do differently? How is it that you're able to do this? How are you hitting these numbers while taking this time off?" Because they're having a problem and instead of going into resentment, what they're doing is they are proactively going in and asking questions because they know success leaves clues. So I just want you to know that there's different ways to approach this and one approach gets you so much closer to what you want to create in your life. And one final thing I want to note here is to start talking to yourself like you want to succeed. I have said this many times in this podcast because it is so important. Do not let your brain tell you that you cannot do things. Notice if your brain does do those things. And then I want you to notice and flip it around and ask yourself how you can make that thing happen. Because when you start intentionally directing your brain with the questions that you ask, you will get the results that you want. So, the quality of our life, this is something Tony Robbins says, the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our questions. So, if we're not asking ourselves quality questions, we're not going to get a higher quality life. If we're asking ourselves, why can't I do this? Why is that person so great and I suck? Right? Like if we're asking ourselves those kinds of questions, we're going to get low quality answers. What we want to do is we want to learn how to ask ourselves high quality questions like, how can I make this happen? What can I do to emulate that result? What can I begin implementing right now that is going to help me? How can I make my life simpler right now? When you begin asking those kinds of questions to yourself, you will see things change in your life. Here is the fourth sneaky perfectionistic thought, which is what if fill in the blank? What if they say no? What if they don't like me? What if I make a mistake? What if somebody says something and finds a mistake that I made? What if somebody rejects me? Here's the problem. When we let our brain go down the what if rabbit hole, we prevent ourselves from taking action. We waste time pondering all the horrible things that could happen instead of looking at what we can do to move ourselves forward and towards our goal. And this is how you'll know if this is where you're at right now. You don't send bills to some clients or you discount rates on your bills. You know it's past time to raise your rates, but you don't do it. You want to promote within your practice or you want to grow your business, but you put off making and implementing a plan to do so. You don't promote your practice on social media or put yourself out there on video or anything like that because you're afraid you're going to say the wrong thing or someone's going to call you out and say that you said something wrong. You avoid doing things that you know is going to grow your practice that require you to interact with other people, like networking, coffee dates, guesting on podcasts, asking for help, because you're afraid of the response you're going to get and how bad you're going to feel if somebody rejects you. Here's the solution: practice allowing things to be uncomfortable and do them anyway. That's really the solution because you're going to feel uncomfortable if you are not doing the thing because you're going to be ruminating about it. You're going to be beating yourself up. You're going to be telling yourself, oh my gosh, I should be working harder. All of these horrible things, which is uncomfortable. And then there's the other discomfort, which is okay, I'm going to go after the thing that I want. And I might not feel great about it. And I might feel a little nervous about it. And I might want to kind of barf a little bit, but I'm going to do it anyway. And the great thing is that the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So I was talking to Andrea on just a few episodes back. She's one of my clients, and she experienced this around networking. She really didn't want to go to networking events. She had a lot of thoughts about it. This was one of them. And it's just something that her brain had said, nope, we're not doing that. But as we worked through this and we started dissolving some of the mindset that had accumulated that prevented her from going out and doing what she wanted to do to grow her practice, she started to release all of that, right? She started to feel lighter. She started allowing herself to be comfortable in her own skin and doing things that were uncomfortable. So she started going to networking events, and guess what? She started to enjoy them. She started to go in with an open mind because she was no longer going in there worried about herself. She was just going in to have a good time, to keep it light, to just get to know people. And as she got to know people, she's been invited to speak for, different events. And so doing that opened up her world. And when we allow ourselves to feel uncomfortable, when we allow ourselves to go in knowing that, okay, I'm not going to walk in feeling 100% comfortable, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to let it be okay that I'm uncomfortable and not make it mean anything about me. whether somebody, walks away from me or doesn't want to talk to me or anything like that, which she has not experienced and I have never experienced, then I've won the battle. Like I've been able to just show up for myself and then allow that discomfort. And the more we do it, the better practice we get at it, the more confident we get in our own skin, and the more we're able to do those difficult things. And this is one for me for sure. I feel called out on. Like when I was writing this, I was like, "Oh yeah, I see this is showing up right now in my business." I totally see it. So, I know that what the solution is here, right? And I just sit down and I give myself two choices. I do the thing or I stare at the wall. I do the thing or I watch paint dry. And when I do that, I'm giving myself the two choices of the two discomforts. One is the discomfort of me sitting there not doing the thing for myself. And then there's the discomfort of me doing the thing. And which one is going to get me closer to my higher self, the part of me that really knows what it is I want and what I want to create? Well, it's going to be me doing the thing. So that's what I want to share with you on that sneaky thought. So here's the last one. I should know more before I ask for help. And this was one that I struggled with when I was a lawyer, specifically when I was a younger lawyer. But boy, this one was one that I really wish I had known when I was a new attorney because it really prevented me from getting the help that I needed and creating the relationships that I needed to be creating as a young attorney. So here's another part of that problem, right? We waste a ton of time researching instead of just asking people for help. And we really play into this idea that we should know everything. It's fascinating because when you look back at our elementary school education, high school, higher education, it really all depended on us knowing the book inside and out, knowing the notes that we took in class inside and out. It was very research dependent and we had a closed book of research, right? There was only so much we needed to know. We were told exactly what we needed to know, but we needed to know it and we needed to have it memorized. So it's really interesting to watch this pattern come into play with some lawyers that I've worked with. And I see what they've done is they're taking this skill that they learned in school and they're trying to apply it to the legal profession. And that is not going to be beneficial at all. I mean, if you've ever stepped into a law school library, you walk in and you see millions of books, right? You can't even count them. And so to think that you are going to be able to memorize any area of the law and somehow that is going to help build your confidence, you're opening yourself up to feeling overwhelmed for the rest of your life, to really not having a life because you will not be able to do anything but research. Okay. So the law is not a test. It's not like we're studying for a test. And if you are researching everything, you are going to be spinning your wheels because there are so many people that have access to information. And if we can tap into that even a little bit, it can get us focused in the right direction. And even if you're like a solo practitioner and you're listening to this, you're not part of an office, you have so many resources to ask people for help. You've got Google, you've got, all these different groups, you've got coaches, you've got all kinds of people to start helping you tap into these resources so that you can focus your attention versus like just trying to know everything. I would much rather invest my money in having a resource, somebody who I can go to versus saying, okay, well, I just need to know all of the books. And I also want to offer to you that when we think we need to know everything, that we are blocking us off from creating trusted relationships with other people, which can lead to feeling more isolated and like we don't belong at our office, which I've talked about in a recent episode. So here's how you will know that this is you. It takes a lot for you to ask for help. And in fact, you would be fine if you never had to ask for help because it feels so uncomfortable admitting that you don't know something. You find yourself spending hours researching a question you have before asking someone who probably has the answer. You're afraid of what people are going to think of you if you don't know the answer to a question. You think the solution to feeling self doubt about something is always to research a topic more. And you feel overwhelmed trying to get your work done because you spend so much time researching and reviewing your work that you've never you that you're covering every single base even if that base isn't even relevant. So another thing that I want to offer to you here to know that this is where you are at right now is that you don't have a life. You're probably not sleeping all that well. You probably feel really worried in your body and anxious in your body. And you probably are wondering if you are doing things right. Like those are the experiences that I had when I was a young attorney. So here's the solution. Admit to yourself that you just can't know everything and let it be okay. The law was not designed to be memorized. It doesn't mean anything about you if you don't have all the answers. You could be in court and the judge could ask you a question and you might not have the answer, and that's okay. That might take some time for some of you. If this is where you are at right now, this might be a really tough spot for you to get your brain, but 100% it's okay. I was 16 years as a criminal prosecutor. Of course, there were times in court when I didn't know things. And early on in my career, like the first few years, if I didn't know something, I would freak out. But then realized, wait a minute, the judge doesn't expect me to know everything. He expects me to know the closed research based on a particular topic, but I can always say, I don't know that, Your Honor, but I can find the answer. Right? I can find the answer is such a beautiful way to respond anytime you don't have the answer instead of feeling fear and self-doubt and worry like you're not enough, you're not doing enough. No, just know you are not meant to know everything that's going on in the law. You are not you don't have to know everything. Just be honest and say, I don't know the answer to that, but I can find that out. That it might feel uncomfortable at first to do so, but you're going to feel so much more empowered when you allow yourself to do that. And you're going to feel so much calmer because you won't be spinning your wheels, spending all your time researching. And then instead, you'll be able to have a life. You'll be able to calm that nervous system down and you'll be able to enjoy your life. And when you step into a courtroom or you step into a meeting, you will be able to say with confidence, I've done what I can do. And if this comes up, I can definitely look up the answer for that. That's not a problem. All right. So, oh, and one other thing, if people offer you help, start accepting it. Just get yourself in the habit of saying yes to help. Ask for help when you can. Let it be uncomfortable. Say yes whenever anybody offers help because that will get you just a little bit more used to allowing yourself to ask for help in the future. Okay, my friend, if this episode resonated with you, I want to invite you to book a strategy session with me. We're going to talk about how you can get the support you want to help take your life and your law practice to the next level. You're going to be blown away by how much you're able to accomplish in your life, how good you're going to feel when you begin taking away, like releasing these perfectionistic tendencies and starting to live your life more confidently and just you're just going to feel so much better. You're going to release so much tension. And believe me, I've experienced this. I have felt all of the angst that I have described in this episode at one time or another. And I continued to work on myself. And the more I did this work on myself, the freer I felt, the more I was able to do things that my brain used to tell me I couldn't do, that were impossible and that were hard, and all of those things. I was able to do these things. And I'm still using these tools. I'm still doing hard things in my business because there's always going to be a next level you want to take yourself to in your life if you want to keep evolving. And these tools continue to help me. So book that strategy session, and I look forward to talking to you. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.